going to take over the country, you need to have a couple of things. One, you need to have a plan. Two, don't drink. When the German police came in after him at the beer hall Pooch, yeah, most of his guys were drunk. So, out of the 1,800 men, most of them get their asses thrown in jail, including himself. Now, there is an unfortunateness, a very unfortunateness. The guy that he was going to take over from the National Socialist Labor Union Workers' Party is a guy by the name of Rom. He and Rom were standing at the bar together. Rom was shot. Hitler wasn't. First time that he is shot at and he doesn't get hit.
That man had like 4 near-death encounters. Like he drowned as a child. He like was saved.
As a child,
yeah.
Yes. There will be 47 attempts on his life during from about 1936 to about 1945.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
Like, he almost died in the war, and then the American soldier saved him. So the American soldier probably came in the news. He just was like, crap.
All right. So by 1933, you have what is called the Rome-Berlin Axis. And all that's saying is, hey, look, there is a direct route from Berlin to Rome, and then from Rome to Tokyo. So you have the Rome, Berlin, Tokyo axis. These three are together. Tojo, it's the Axis powers, in other words, they're the bad guys. Tojo was actually going to set up a deal with Stalin. Stalin is going to be okay with it. Stalin is going to send some food supplies to Japan, which is what Japan needs. Japan is in full mode imperialistic. They are branching out. They are going into other islands and they are taking and confiscating everything that you can get a hold of. The steel, whatever you need to make for steel, rubber, food, you name it, they were going and they were branching out. We, by 1936 and 1937, is like, oh, hold on, you got to stop. Well, right around 1936, Japan is going to invade China. China raises his hand and says, yo, we need help. Guy by the name of Chiang Kai-shek is in power in China. All right? Now, we've had an open door policy with China, but it really wasn't that big of a deal. We like Chiang Kai-shek. And here's the only reason we like him. And yes, this is legit. He had an American wife. She was a blonde bombshell. And because she had some ties here to the U.S., is one of the main reasons we helped them. We put out flyers, we put out on the internet and the computers and everything and say, hey, look, we need flyers. We need guys who can fly an airplane. So, you're going to have a group called the Flying Tigers. They are going to go into China, and they are going to make a lot of money. Because for every airplane that these guys shoot down, they're going to get $500. And in 1936, 37, 38, that's a lot of money. $500 you could live on for almost 2 years here in the States. Now, in 34, we have already set up an agreement with the Philippines. We come in and say, hey, look, we are going to help you out. We are going to take care of you. So we sign what's called the Tidings-McDuffie Act. And this happens in 34. What it says is, in 12 years, you guys get your freedom. Now, we have the ability to go to look at hindsight. So in 1934, if you add 12 years, Think about it. We've just finished World War II. Do you think we're going to get out of the Philippines? No, and we don't. In 1946, we set up another deal, and we say, in another 10 years, if you have a stable government and all this, then we'll think about letting you guys go. Yeah, by this time, Now, by 23, and yes, I know I'm kind of jumping around, but I'll come back to Japan in a minute. By 1923, Hitler's already, for the most part, established. All right? He's already taken over the National Socialist Labor Union Workers' Party, or what we refer to as the Nazis. He gets caught in the beer hall putsch. As a result, he gets thrown into jail for 9 months. Now, technically speaking, he should have been in there for 9 years. But in Germany at the time, there was a new government coming in about every 6 months. And if you're the new political party, what do you do to all the people that are in jail from the old party? You let them out. Mm-hmm. In hopes that they're going to join your party, and then there's this cycle. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Y'all know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. So he's let out after 9 months. He's already written his book, Mein Kampf. Y'all have heard of it, yes?
Mm-hmm. We actually have it at the school library.
Okay. It tells you what he's going to do. Flat out. He's going to take over. Gets out of jail. And what's interesting is that he does something that, for the most part, most leaders don't do. He learns very quickly that you cannot just take over the government. So, you got to get the people involved. How do you get the people involved? You get them to vote. Ladies and gentlemen, Adolf Hitler, by 1928, has been elected into the Reichstag. And the Reichstag is the government of Germany. He has about 50 seats. And there's like 400 total seats. And so you get elected and your party members get elected, and then the total number of seats makes you the chancellor. And this is what he does. By 29, he's got like 100. By 30, bless you, he's almost got 200, which for the most part, he is now the Chancellor of Germany. He's elected. So if you've thought about it at all, you know. Plain and simple, Adolf Hitler was elected to become the Chancellor of Germany. Yes, sir.
What year is that again?
Right around 30, 31. I haven't done this in over a year, so give me a break as far as the timeline and all that. And this is what happens, all right? By 1932, he's got over 3/4 of the seats in the Reichstag. No one is going to challenge him. He's it. He's in. He is the chancellor. That's what he considers himself. He is talking to the king at the time. In 32, he starts setting up political concentration camps. By 33 and 34, actually by 34, he actually stages a fake riot outside of the king's window. And he goes upstairs, goes to the king who's on his deathbed and says, "They are coming for you. You need my help. I need to get the army squared away and together, and so that we can fight these riotous people." King signs over Germany to Hitler. He is now, you can call him the Chancellor, you can call him the Fuhrer. For all intents and purposes, ladies and gentlemen, by the early part of 1934, He is the dictator of Germany. But please understand, he's already started everything. He's already started everything in motion. Because by 1933, 1934, there are no guns allowed in any civilian German household. He has come and taken them. If you own a car, he has taken them. If you own a cell phone, he has taken them. If you have a radio, he has taken them. If you have a bicycle, he is taking it. Every time, he keeps taking every little bit from you, from the German people. And it's successful because his brown shirts can get away with anything. But his brown shirts never, ever, 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 ever just walk individually. His brown shirts always walk in pairs or triplets or whatever, or a group. Why? Why does he have them? They all have to walk in pairs together. Nobody can walk. A brown shirt cannot walk individually. Why? Can I kick your butt individually? If I walk up, I can kick your butt, can't I? Am I going to walk up and kick your butt if there's 2 of you? 3? How about 10?
Especially with the power they had.
They could do anything. And sad to say, if they came upon you and they were in one of their moods and you were a woman, you were more than likely going to be raped by all of them. And they will leave you there. Because they don't care. The brown shirts cannot go to jail for anything, even outright murder. The brown, and y'all, do you all know what I mean by brown shirts?
Yeah.
Okay. The brown shirts are individuals who have come from the gutters, the prisons, the lowlifes of German society. He has come and said, how would you like 3 meals a day? All the power you want? Food, drink, clothes, and anything that you want to do. Good, isn't it? Yeah. Sir, come on. Wouldn't you want that job? In a heartbeat. I don't care who you are. You got to remember, this is depression. Okay? It has even affected the German people. Now, people ask, how did he get an army so quickly? It's really simple. Okay? You talk about the camps. The kid camps? The Nazi youth camps?
Oh, yeah. I've heard of them.
What'd they say? Now remember, you're in a depression. So you're basically, you know what threadbare means? For like a shirt or pair of pants? Threadbare, how many of you have a really old t-shirt that you love, but if you hold it up to the light, you can see through it? That's threadbare. That's what you got. Because of the depression. So gentlemen, if I went and put out an advertisement, 2 weeks, summer camp. All the food, all the drink, all the clothes you want. You can play any sport. I even have a gun range that you can shoot weapons if you want. All you have to do is listen to me for 15 minutes a day. And when you're done playing baseball, you police the field, and then you walk over to play football. You all walk together, that's all. How many of you doing it? Remember, you're in a depression. You don't even know where your next meal's coming from, or your next drink. Yeah, you'd go, wouldn't you? heartbeat. But then at the end of the 2 weeks, I said, hey, if you guys want to teach the next group that's coming in, you can stick around. Whoa, hold on. I'm going to be able to stick around. I'm going to have more food, more drink. I'm going to have all this stuff. And I can teach and be a leader. How many are we going? In a heartbeat, wouldn't you? Ladies, this is going to be hard, so I got to say this. Remember, you're not independent. All right? Your main focus in life at this time is to be a wife, a mother, and have children. Got it? So wipe out everything else in your brain for a minute, okay? Give me that. Remember, you're in a depression. So if I told you that for 2 weeks, I could give you all the food, the drink, and the clothes you wanted, and I could teach you how to be a good German wife, and how to give birth to good German stout people, how many of you would go? How many of you would go? You would. I mean, come on. A place where you can go where you get everything you want. The only thing, you listen to me for 15 minutes a day, and when we get done with sports and when we get done with athletic activities, we march to the next place. That's it. And each 2 weeks are recycled. And if you want to stick around, you can and teach. After a little while, I'll even send you some money your way. You gonna stick around? Yeah. So what am I doing? Kind of, sort of, yes. But in another way, think broader, think bigger. What am I doing? Remember, at the end of World War I, what could Germany not have? An Air Force, a Navy, and an Army. What am I doing? You got it. Do you see that? Mm-hmm. I'm building an army. I'm training them by doing athletics. Their stamina is getting up by playing soccer and football and baseball and all that. And I'm showing them how to shoot. Ladies, I'm teaching you how to be a good German wife and all good German food and all of that. Okay? Does that make sense? You guys are starting to see it? This is how he builds his army. Now, on top of that, I'm then going to go to certain individual ladies and say, I'm going to pick on you. Is that okay? Okay. I need you to be a good German wife. I need you to produce good German kids. And I have the officer for you. Will you do it? Now remember, you get food, drink, I take care of all your medical, you get clothes, and I'll take care of the baby. You don't have to do anything except give birth and be a mom. Would you do it? Yeah, at the time. Gentlemen, I need a couple of you outstanding individuals to be officers. Trust me, you'll take it. Okay? He's building his army. Does that, I mean, do you see? But he's not allowed to. Then there's this big old event called the Olympics. Germany is the strongest. Germany is the mightiest. Germany is the greatest. We're going to stomp everybody's asses. Yeah. Then this about 5'8" black man walks up to the starting line and wins every race he's in. And he's kicked the butts of just about every country that was in the Olympics in 1936, including Germany. He's pissed. He even gets up at the next event that Jesse Owens is going to run. He even gets up and leaves the stadium. And he doesn't come back at any time when the Americans are racing. He's pissed. Unfortunately, all those Olympians, German Olympians, from what I have gathered, will never be heard from again. Because they lost. And they lost to us. We are the most horriblest nation in the world. Why? Because we're Mongols. We accept everybody and we take everybody in. And Jews can marry Germans, and Jews can marry Christians, and a whole 9 yards in the gamut of everything. By 1937, he basically has stomped out of the United Nations and said, to all of you. What's he do? Starts building his army, starts building his navy, starts building his Air Force. He's got this guy by the name of Albert Spears, who is, oh my gosh, phenomenal. I mean, during the war, when one of the factories is blown to smithereens, he's got the same freaking factory in another location built, rebuilding whatever it was that was blown up within 3 months. That's how good Albert Spears was. He rebuilt the German military machine like you would not believe. By 38 and 39, unfortunately, there's no hope for the Jews. Now, I will say, in 1938, Hitler does say, all right, Jews, you have 6 months to clear out. Clear out of what? Get out of Germany. And these people are like, whoa, hold on a minute. Why am I going to leave? This is my country. I fought for this country during World War I, and this is what you're doing to me? Excuse my language, but bullshit. It ain't gonna happen. This is my home. I'm not leaving. Yeah. Now, by 1936 and 1937, in the Pacific, Japan keeps going to other islands. They're island hopping. They're imperialistic ghosts. They don't have a choice. Okay, we are strangling them. Okay, we are cutting off their circulation. What time do we get out of here?
55.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm boring.
Simon.
So, y'all want to hear this stuff?
Yes.
Sure.
Yes. Yes.
How many of you don't want to listen to me at all? I don't blame you. I'm telling you, if I had to listen to me, I wouldn't. Especially play.
Same, honestly.
Do what?
I've understood more today than I have all year.
Yeah.
Like, honestly.
See, you don't get on random tangents. It's actually history and not random stuff.
It's just,
Yeah.
it's just the different teaching stuff.
Yeah, that's all it is.
That's all it
I
is.
like stories and stuff.
See, and to me, that's what history is.
Like, I like whenever they
His-
actually have to do with the topic and not just
The
randomly
history
about.
is, it's storytelling. That's what history is.
Mhm.
It's made up of all the people. And again, you have to understand, these are all people that are doing these things. I mean, come on, Jesse Owens, we didn't even give, I mean, yes, he went over. There were times that, no, he wasn't going to be allowed because he was black. And then to think that here he goes and he wins the freaking races that he's in, sorry. And he does. And he becomes noticed, and so do we become noticed. And Hitler is like, slow down. We don't like that. Japan has got to do something. Okay? She's got to do something. We keep telling her, no, you can't go out there. Stop. We send in the Fly Boys, the Flying Tigers, in 36 and 37, and they're in China. They're trying to defeat the Japanese. Unfortunately, they keep coming. By 39, we've got tariffs galore. And sorry, guys, I haven't even come up with all the names that I should be going over, that you guys should be writing down. Okay? The funny thing about it is, in 1935, we set up the first Neutrality Act. It says, anybody who's at war or is going to war, yeah, we're not trading with you. So,
Well,
right, because they're not at war. In 1937, we pass the Neutrality Act number 2 that says, oh, we'll back off a little bit, we'll allow certain things. But again, don't go to war. By let me double check to make sure I'm right. Yep. Yeah. Now, we don't want to go to war. All right. By 38 and 39, people of Japanese descent are trying to get the Americans to chill out about Japan. You've got German people here who are saying, no, do not go to war, do not go to war. You need to help Hitler, you need to help him, you need to help these countries. Okay, they're in a depression too. Well, problem being is in 1934, we set up what's called the NYE Committee, N-Y-E. Okay, that says, and its sole purpose is to investigate why we went to war in World War I. Anybody want to take a stab at why we went to war for World War I? Money. The politicians, the businessmen, yes. So, as a result, the NYE Committee says, what do you think? It says, we can't go to war. Because people will make money on the war. So we went. In 36 to 39, there is this thing called the Spanish War. It's a revolution. Okay? It's a fascist state. Who else, for the most part, is a fascist state at this time? Germany.
Italy.
Yeah. Yes, Mr. Earl. Jonathan Barrow? Yes. I will send him. The athletic office to pick up some things? So if you're a fascist state, and there's another fascist state, and the other fascist state needs to train its officers, what would you do? You send them to where the war is, so they could do what? Learn. That's what Hitler does. Hitler sends his officers to the Spanish Revolution from 1936 to 1939 to get training in war. That was their job, was to learn how to fight. And they become very, very successful. In 37, FDR gives his quarantine speech. And his quarantine speech says, we have to quarantine Japan. So we start strangling her more and more. By 1939, Tojo, the emperor, the military emperor, goes to his Yamamoto and says, you need to come up with a plan to get the Americans off our back. By 1940, we're strangling them again, even more so. In the fall of 40, Tojo goes to Yamamoto and says, you need to set this up. On December 7th, 1941, Yamamoto sends the first wave of dive bombers of approximately 267 at about 7:02 on a Sunday morning. Why on a Sunday morning instead of a Monday morning? Anybody?
Well, perhaps like the soldiers and everyone would be distracted by like going to church, so they wouldn't be as focused. And plus, on Sunday also is a day of more of rest, so they possibly might be on break.
Right. Because the military will be somewhat on a stand-down basis. And so there won't be as many civilians out. And most of the naval personnel will still be in their bunks. And for those that aren't in their bunks, then they're on shore leave. Now, the question always has been asked, did FDR know about Pearl Harbor? The answer is yes. However, did he know what was going to happen at Pearl Harbor? No. Did he know a time? No. All we knew was that the Japanese were going to attack. We didn't know when, we didn't know where. Now, with that said, all the carriers are out to sea. There are no carriers in. So when Yamamoto sends his first wave in, they do a vast amount of damage to the naval ships and to the air station at Henderson Field. When he sends his second wave in, which is about an hour later, about another 260, 270 dive bombers and such, they do another vast amount of damage. They are getting ready to come back. His next group is coming up. Those that he has refilled, fueled, and restocked. He has been asked by his commanders, okay, we need to get them off the deck so the next ones can fly in and get recharged and send up. And Yamamoto says and makes his famous quote, I am afraid all we have done is awakened a sleeping giant. Now, he says that for a couple of reasons. Number one, and he doesn't send out the third wave. Number one, because he didn't know where the aircraft carriers were. So there were another 300 airplanes, almost 500 to 600 airplanes on our carriers somewhere that he didn't know. Two, he'd already done enough damage. And because the carriers, he said no. And there was a third thing that most people don't know. Right after World War I, Yamamoto was sent by the Japanese emperor to the United States to be taught at the War College in Rhode Island. Some of the same aircraft flyers that were at Pearl Harbor actually helped him learn how and military tactics and he was taught by us military tactics. He knew us. And so when the carriers weren't out there and that second wave, he said, this is going to end badly for us. Unfortunately, about, I think it was 1943, he was flying over, yep, and he will be shot down and he will not see the end of the war. Do what?
I was just asking how he knew
Oh, you'd be amazed at how, World War II is one of those time periods that a lot of people love, okay? And we've talked about it, for many, many years, because it's the greatest generation. And because there are so many World War II vets that are dying, that here real soon, there will be no more left. And there's been a real big push in trying to get their stories in there. And there are a lot of people that love that information and love to hear about it. And that's why I've always said, history it's the individual. That's what makes it. And that's part of it. Okay, last thing, and then okay. Tojo and Hitler have already signed an agreement. If one of them goes to war, the other will go. So, on December 8th, when we are announcing our big Day of Infamy speech, Tojo's on the phone to Hitler. Yo, dude, you gotta declare war. Hitler says, yeah, I'll do it. December 9th rolls around. Yo, dude, you've gotta declare war. They're gonna come after me and just me. Yeah, no problem. December 10th rolls around. Yo, dude, you have to declare war. Yeah, I will. On December 11th, Adolf Hitler declares war on the United States. We didn't. We were attacked by the Japanese. Okay? We were not attacked by the Germans. Nothing. They declared war on us. And believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to fight a two-front war for the duration. 60% of all products that are made for war are going to go to Europe. 40% are going to go to the Pacific. So if you really want to break it down, we beat Japan with only 40% of all military items. That's it. Yeah, it's when you start looking at it and you start realizing, the Marines, for the most part, were over in the Pacific. The Army was in Europe. Every 100 tanks, 60 of them went to Europe, 40 of them went to the Pacific. That's how we kick and butt. Y'all have a good day.